Hi there, my name is Erin Peterson and I'm here from Accessibility Services located in the Webster Center for Teaching and Learning. At Accessibility Services, our goal is to level the playing field for all students and also to provide equal access to learning and to the campus. We serve all students at UPEI, but in particular we provide accommodations to students who have disabilities. For example, hearing impairments, visual impairments, physical disabilities such as mobility, students who have quadriplegia, paraplegia, learning disabilities. We also assist students with other disabilities such as ADD, Tourette syndrome, anxiety disorder, head injury, chronic illness, Asperger's syndrome. But 52% of all the student population we serve at Accessibility Services are students who have learning disabilities. It's an important note here, students who have intellectual disabilities are in the ACE program. At this time, I'd like to touch base just a little bit more in regards to what a learning disability is, due to the fact it is our largest population at Accessibility Services who use our services. Students who have a learning disability or individuals are average or above average in intelligence. There is just some difficulty learning and using the following, such as listening, speaking, reading, writing, spelling, or math. So the learning disability could be in one of these areas or several of these areas could be affected. For example, if I'm a student struggling with reading, I have dyslexia, if I go on to do math with word problems, that's going to be problematic in my studies. So it could be in one area or several. Also affected with learning disabilities are social skills due to confidence perhaps, memory, attention, organization, processing speed, and reasoning. There are ranges in severity, anywhere from mild to severe learning disabilities. And as mentioned, they are the result of processing challenges, how things are retrieved from our long and short-term memory. They are different for each person, and the interventions are different as well. They are lifelong, but the earlier the diagnosis, the better. Students can be diagnosed as young as grade 3, but often students aren't diagnosed until they get to the university level, where reading is more intense, writing is more intense. So perhaps students may be recommended to see our services after completing a paper or completing a test. So the earlier the diagnoses, the better, and they are genetic and or neurobiological. Also associated with learning disabilities are anxiety, mood disorder, depression, anger disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, Tourette syndrome, and ADD. At this time, I like to mention that ADD is what we call comorbid with learning disabilities. Often when there is one, there is also the other. There's a higher prevalence, I guess, among students and individuals being diagnosed with ADD due to the fact physicians can diagnose ADD, whereas only a registered psychologist can diagnose a learning disability. And in Prince Edward Island, there is sometimes a 2-year wait list for students to be diagnosed in the school system, but we are lucky here at the university. Students can be diagnosed faster due to a study grant provided by the government, which I'll touch base on in just a moment. So the process here at UPEI, how it works at Accessibility Services is the following. I'll just outline it here. We do provide all our services and academic supports to any UPEI student, but in particular, we only provide test and exam accommodations to students who have documentation from either a physician or a registered psychologist. Often, some students do come with documentation from high school or another post-secondary institution, but as long as students have the diagnoses or are going through the process or the screening referral for a diagnosis, we will provide test and exam accommodations. At that time, recommendations from physicians or psychologists, we will implement those working with the coordinator of our services, myself, and our team of student assistants and other colleagues. Early in the semester, or whenever we meet with a student, we will sit down and come up with a plan for accommodations and studies together. From there, emailing professors, lab instructors, anybody who will be directly related to the student to ensure academic success. From there, after meeting with the coordinator, I will meet with students, meeting one-on-one, providing the test and exam accommodations, whatever that may be. And I'll touch base on what some of those possible accommodations are in just a moment. At that time, we implement these accommodations, and then we evaluate throughout the semester, perhaps after midterms or closer to finals, establishing whether or not those accommodations are working. Perhaps a student is receiving time and a half, and they should receive double time, or perhaps maybe even trying a computer for word processing, depending on spelling or other circumstances. So we evaluate, meet with maybe the professors again and the student, see what's working and make adjustments and go from there. Some of the other services we offer at Accessibility Services are individual confidential consultations. Everything is confidential. Students can meet with myself or the coordinator and talk about some of the things perhaps discussed at this presentation or from referring to our website. And from there, maybe doing some screening tests. We have several tests which we do one-on-one with students around reading, writing, math. From there, seeing where students are at and perhaps making some recommendations for mentoring, or perhaps just making some recommendations for some different learning or studying strategies, So individual program planning for accommodations or studying. We also provide and arrange assistance with learning through mentoring and tutoring, which I'll touch base on a little bit more in just a moment. We also provide access to specialized technology, which really helps all UPEI students. It can help any one of you. We have Kurzweil, which is a reading software, and we'll take a look at that later. And NaturallySpeaking, which is a speech-to-text software. Again, very helpful for all UPEI students, not just a few of a disability. We also provide assistance with self-advocacy. We're strong believers in empowering students, giving them the education and information they need to advocate for themselves, both with parents and professors and others in the community. We provide educational, professional, and financial information around grants and other bursaries. And we also liaise with students, with faculties, departments, and other off-campus agencies. So just we provide as much information as we can to students to be independent. So some of the key accommodations, which I touched on briefly before, are note takers and providing digital technologies. Due to copyright, there is a policy around that, and we do have students fill out a form to have signed by their professor. Students can't just come into class and start taping, but we do work with students under certain circumstances to provide that service. Also tutors, help arrange in finding tutors in all different faculties and areas. The technology, we're strong believers in technology. Having students with laptops make it seamless and level the playing field, as I had mentioned earlier. Time, anywhere from, sometimes that's all the accommodation students need is time and a half or double time. Mentoring has really taken off at Accessibility Services. It's meeting one-on-one with myself or one of our other mentors. Sometimes at the beginning of the semester it's more intense because we're just getting course outlines, sitting down, doing some goal setting with students, developing some study skill strategies. And then from there, the mentoring appointments tend to get shorter because it's basically a lot of accountability, troubleshooting, sitting down with the day planner. If you know you have a midterm due in the middle of October or March, how do we get to that date and backtrack to make sure we are successful in university? So that's really important, and the students love it. We've had students who've used the mentoring services and then gone on to be mentors for us and for others at Accessibility Services. So that's really empowering and important to note as well. We provide strategy instruction, and then more specifically around the test and exam accommodations, we provide the distraction-free environment. We have several study rooms which are free of things on the wall, no technology in terms of access to the internet, but we do provide adaptive technology such as the Kurzweil and Dragon and the computer for word processing. And then even sometimes we'll provide mock exams for students who have, there's a lot of test exam anxiety around, especially closer to finals. So to alleviate some of that stress, we'll perhaps maybe get an exam from the previous year and establish the testing sort of environment and alleviate some of the stress for students around that. And finally, before showing you some of the adaptive technology, our goal at Accessibility Services is to have students graduate and be independent and successful. And we've had a really strong success rate in regards to that. Some of our students have gone on to not only graduate, they've gone on to pursue a BEd, a master's, gone into veterinary medicine. The world is really their oyster after getting the accommodations and supports they need. So there was no unfair advantage, just a level playing field and a little bit of support. So we're really pleased that you were able to watch this presentation, and I encourage you, if I've perhaps said anything here that interests you, that you could contact us and find out more information through our website at www.upei.ca/accessibility. And we're also located in Robertson Library 214, and I have several brochures which outline more so what I discussed here today. But please drop by if you think any of this might pertain to yourself or somebody else you know. All right, at this time I am going to show you Kurzweil 3000, which is text-to-speech software, and Dragon NaturallySpeaking, which is the opposite to that, speech-to-text software. And I encourage you to drop by also our office at Robertson Library 214, and I could give you an individual demonstration of these technologies as well. So I thank you for your time, and please come by and see us at the Webster Center. Thanks. I am going to demonstrate to you Kurzweil 3000, which is a text-to-speech software used to help all students, particularly students who have disabilities, but it can help any UPEI student. And it's included in your tuition free of charge. You just need to own and purchase your textbooks and bring them into Accessibility Services in the Webster Center, and we can give you a further demonstration after this one today as well. This piece of software is great for the visual and auditory learner. We always say it's coming at the student through both senses, seeing and hearing, so students are that much more likely to retain the information. In this demonstration, I'm going to show you with a history text how it works. So we'll play it, and then I'll talk a bit more about it in just a moment.
In the same period, hundreds of thousands of wartime workers were cut from the payrolls of government and industry. Unemployment suddenly became a serious problem. Farmers, meanwhile, were confronted with sharply falling crop prices.
Okay, so the voice you just heard there was Paul. The reading speed selected there was around 130 words per minute. And it's yellow on the current sentence and green on the current word, which is great for attention and focus. Some students will follow the screen strictly with a headset on listening. Others will take notes in their textbook. Some will highlight as they're reading. But it's great for attention because of the flashing cursor. Let's say I'm a student and I'm reading along and I don't know what the word armistice means. I've heard it before, but I'm not quite sure. Click in front of the word, come up here to the definition button, click it, 1, 2, not even 2 seconds, and I have the definition there.
A temporary cessation of fighting by mutual consent. A truce.
As you can see, that was much faster than if I were to take the time and look it up in a dictionary or online. Another great tool that Kurzweil offers to students. Kurzweil will also open, if you open up a document in WordPerfect or Microsoft, just as you would through either My Documents or your USB stick, it will read WordPerfect and Microsoft, as I said. So what a great tool to edit a paper before taking it to the Writing Center or before handing things in. I know myself, I'm an auditory learner, and when I play my paper back, I can hear maybe where I need to add or subtract something, add some more research. So another great tool there that Kurzweil offers. It will also read the web. There's a button just up here under Read, select Read, and move to the bottom, select, and our toolbar just moves to the bottom. So you can go on any website. Sometimes our professors will put things on electronic reserve on the library. It will read that, and some databases. Now, certain websites will have PDFs with locks on them, and so to get around that, unfortunately, we will have to print the document and then scan it in. But that's another service that we offer at Accessibility as well. I'd just like to note at this time, due to copyright reasons, at the university here, we do require that you own the textbook before we will scan something in. So you can bring in your text and a USB stick, and we have 30-day downloads of this piece of software, Kurzweil, in both Mac or PC. You just need to let the staff know when you come in, and we'll give you a copy. Another neat feature that Kurzweil will do, and we always say this is nice for review, maybe the second time around reading the text before a test or an exam, is that under the file option and audio files, you can create an MP3 document of your chapter in psychology, history, nursing, whatever it is that you're studying. You can choose the chapter, the speed, and the person you want to read. There's about 20 different voices. I find Paul is the best, the most human-like. And the computer will scan through the chapter, and you can either go for a run or be sitting on the bus home and still be reviewing your text for your courses. So it's very user-friendly. You can see from the icons up here at the top that if you forget anything I've sort of explained here today, that you could figure it out without mixing anything up. There's some test-taking features on here too. We have students who use this for tests and exams, and the staff at the Webster Center has administrative tools that we can lock the definition button during test time and disable the internet, things like that to ensure integrity. You can also type within Kurzweil. And it will play it back. Most students like to use the WordPerfect or Microsoft, but this is just another option.
Today is Friday. Today is Friday.
So very user-friendly, lots of options there. And I encourage you to drop by the Webster Center and try this technology out. We have several private study rooms, and we also have a room in the library that students can sign out and use this technology. And again, the 30-day downloads for your computer. The next piece of software I'm going to demonstrate for you is called Dragon NaturallySpeaking. Some of you may have heard of this technology before. It was originally created for lawyers, doctors, administrative assistants, people with lots of dictating and writing to get out in short periods of time and still be able to use their hands to retrieve documents and do other things. Then people in the accessibility field said, wait a second, people who have accessibility trouble could use this and be more independent. So not only individuals who have physical disabilities not able to use their hands for writing, but also people who have learning disabilities, struggling with spelling, quite bright, have the content in their brain, but just with the processing, having trouble with the phonetics of spelling and writing. So I'll just show you here on this icon, Dragon Naturally Speaking. This is version 10, the most current. And it is the opposite to what I showed you on Kurzweil. This is what we call speech to text. So I'm going to select my name here. Each user has their own file. And you can use either WordPerfect or Microsoft to type this document, or you can use what they call the Dragon Pad. I myself will use here today for the demonstration Microsoft Office. And the catch with Dragon is a quiet room, and the more often you're on it, the more accurate it is going to be. So again, I'll just demonstrate this technology and then I'll speak to it a bit afterwards. Good afternoon, comma. Good afternoon, comma. I work at the University of Prince Edward Island in Accessibility Services, period. I am giving a presentation on Dragon Naturally Speaking to show students how I can use this as an editing tool and to write what I want to write without using my hands or being preoccupied with how to spell things correctly. Period. As you can see, I am not using my hands and the computer is typing everything I am asking it to accurately and quickly. Period. The computer is so smart that it knows automatically to capitalize proper nouns like the university. Period. Some of the students who use Dragon Naturally Speaking at Accessibility Services study things such as nursing, veterinary medicine, psychology. These students study things such as ventricular medication and pharmacology. Period. As you can see, the computer is so smart that words that are phonetically challenging, like ventricular and pharmacology, are spelt correctly and quickly. Period. If I had to stop and think about how to spell pharmacology, I might think that it is spelt with an F or a P, for example. New paragraph. This computer software enables students to be completely independent, whereas before, students would need to have a scribe or dictate it orally. Period. Microphone off. I encourage you, that since there is no free download with Dragon Naturally Speaking, to drop by the Webster Center for Teaching and Learning and try this piece of software. It's confidential and each student can log on with their username of their choice and try this out for an assignment. If you have any questions, we are located in Robertson Library 214.